There is a love holding me. There is a love holding. There is a love holding all that I love. Is a love holding all that. There is a love holding all. There is a love holding all. I rest in this love. In this love. Try it again. There is a love holding me. There is a love holding. There is a love holding all that I love. Holding all that. There is a love holding all. There is a love holding all. I rest in His love. There is a love holding me. There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all. I rest in this love. Together, there is a love holding us. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love. We rest in this love one more time. We rest in this love. Now, let's do one more. This is called I Am Light.
This is a song by India Ari called I Am Light. I invite you to sing the chorus with which we'll start. We sing I am light, 4 times together, and then I'll sing a verse and invite you back in for the chorus and so on and so forth. Just watch Glenn. I am light, I am light. 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 I am not the things my family did. I am not the voices in my head. I am not the pieces of the brokenness inside. I am light, am light, I am light. I am light, I am light. I am light, I am light. I am light, I am light. I'm not the mistakes that I have made or any other thing that caused me pain. I am not the pieces of the dream I left behind. I am light, light, I am light. I am light, I am light. I am light, I am light. my race, my soul inside is all light. Light, I am light. I am 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 divinity defined. I am the God on the inside. I am a star, a piece of it all. I am light.
Good morning. Welcome to the Community Church of Chapel Hill, Unitarian Universalist. I am Alexa Adamo Valverde, a member of the Worship Associates Ministry. Our Reverend Minister Thom Belote is preaching this morning. We want to welcome any visitors or newcomers to our church and call your attention to a special note for you on the back of the order of service. Welcome guests and newcomers. After service, please join us for our in-person Sunday social. We also welcome those of you attending online. Lyrics to hymns and all elements of service may be found on the screen. A complete order of service, including weekly announcements, is available via the link in the Sunday morning email and on the church website. Please turn off or silence any cell phones to maintain a worshipful experience. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you arrived at this beloved place, you are welcome here. And now for information about our Share the Plate this morning, come on up. About the Mountain Retreat, Charles Lee, Bronwyn Blass, and Larry Ross, and family.
No, we're not going to do a mountain retreat rock band. But we did want to tell you about the Share the Plate this morning. Good morning, I'm Charles Lee, and this morning's Share the Plate collection is for the mountain, our Unitarian Universalist Retreat and Learning Center located in Highlands, North Carolina. There are 86 acres and 50 buildings on site, and there's a lot of things to take care of. And funds from today's Share the Plate collection will be used for storm damage that was done by Helene, and support for our summer camp, our church retreats, and other hosted activities, such as our RE director, Marion Hirsch, going up for an RE workshop earlier this year. And with me this morning is our Bronwyn Blass and her children, Reese and Tegan Works. Bronwyn, tell us about your experience with the Mountain Retreat and Learning Center.
Hi, my name is Bronwyn Blass. The mountain, particularly the mountain camp, which is the Mountain Summer Youth Camp, is an incredibly special place for me. I spent many summers at the mountain as a camper, then a counselor in training, a counselor, and ultimately the camp director for a summer after college. Growing up in a small UU fellowship in Florida, it was amazing for me to have a place that I could go every summer to meet a whole camp full of other Unitarian Universalists from all over the Southeast. It was an excellent way to connect to our larger faith and to get to live our values in community with other like-minded kids. Now that I'm a parent, I'm so glad that my own children can have that experience as well. They've both gone to mountain camp for the last 2 summers. Taking them to the mountain, seeing old camp friends who are now also bringing their children, hearing my kids sing the same John Prine, Joni Mitchell, Beatles, Indigo Girl songs that I sang as a camper, of course, experiencing the amazing natural beauty of the mountain, all of this has become yet another wonderful annual spiritual balm for me. I'm so grateful that the mountain exists and really appreciate your support of this incredible place. Maurice and Tegan would now like to share just a few words about how special the mountain is to them as well.
One reason I love the mountain is because every year you can go there and form a new community of kind and accepting people.
One thing I like about the mountain it's a great place to make new friends, and everybody there is super kind.
As we drove up Scaly Mountain to the retreat to join the other 32 participants, our first thoughts were of the beauty of the area. The staff was great. Gathering together in fellowship and spirit, meeting new friends during the day, fireside sing-songs, services led by Reverend Allison, music from talented musicians, trips to the many waterfalls, the highlands, looking over the mountains while having our morning coffee. What a memorable experience. We knew that we wanted to come back and have signed up for next year's gathering. Thank you for supporting this wonderful Unitarian Universalist retreat.
Please rise in body or in spirit for our opening hymn, number 131 in the gray hymnal, Love Will Guide Us. Our call to worship this morning is Blessing of the Precious Mess by Anna Bladel. Darling one, you precious mess, you exhausted, grieving, hollowed, hallowed, hallelujah of a human. Today, if even for a moment, may you feel your own beating heart, your own courageous cœur, your chest rising and falling with breath, which is spirit, which is life force, keeping pulse, marking time, finding space. Regardless of how you are feeling, no matter what you are capable of or not. And just for a moment, may you find rest, a bit of ease, held in the sacred rhythm that cannot be without you, because you have breath and heart and life force pulsing through you yet. Come, let us worship together. The words for a chalice lighting are written by Albert Schweitzer. Please join me in reading them if you wish to do so. At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us.
Hi, I'm Deborah Clinger. I'm a member of this church, and I'm also a psychotherapist in private practice. And I am seeing a lot of folks who are carrying a lot of heaviness and feeling a lot of stress and anxiety right about now, myself included. And so before I go any further, I invite you to join me in a few falling out breaths And falling out breaths consist of a slow, deep inhalation through the nose, and then dropping the lower jaw and allowing the exhale to fall out on a sigh like this. So let's do a few of those together. And again. One more. And if you'll pardon me, I'm going to get a little wonky for a moment. We are mammals, and as such, we have autonomic nervous systems which are designed to help us survive. If you think of like a sandwich lying on a plate, bread, filling, bread, the filling is the ventral vagal branch of the parasympathetic nervous system, also known as the social engagement branch. When we're in that branch, we can think and feel at the same time, and we can connect to others and give and receive love and support. When our nervous systems perceive threat or danger, that activates the sympathetic branch, which is the top slice of bread. It contains high freeze, like a deer in the headlights, and fight or flight, so we can prepare to act. Although when the danger is not clearly, when it's not concrete as it is right now, what we can fight back to or run away from is elusive, which is what keeps us in a state of sort of anxious apprehension. Or we drop down into the bottom slice of bread, the dorsal vagal branch of the parasympathetic nervous system, which is what allows animals in the wild to go into a feigned death state so that predator animals will think they're already dead and not be interested. But in humans, it takes us to a place of collapse, depression, dissociation, even hopelessness and despair. So, exercises that enable or support our nervous systems in bringing us back into the filling of the sandwich, that ventral vagal branch, can be helpful in times like these. And so in that spirit, I invite you to take your awareness to the bottoms of your feet. And I think of our awareness in this respect as sort of like a flashlight beam in a dark room. We can only see what we shine it on. So shine the beam of your internal flashlight on the bottoms of your feet. Feel free to drop your gaze or allow your eyes to close if that's helpful. And feel into the contact of the insoles of your shoes with the bottoms of your feet and the support of the floor below that and the earth beneath. And notice what happens, if anything, as you do that, just allowing your awareness to rest there on the support under your feet. Now extend your awareness to include your ankles, calves, shins, and knees. Just feeling into your lower legs and the earth under your feet. And extend your awareness once again to the backs of your thighs and your rear end, feeling into the support of the pew under your legs and your butt. And widen that flashlight beam now to include the feel of the pew behind your back making contact with the support behind you. And now notice where your tongue is. Is it up against the roof of your mouth, down in your lower jaw, or somewhere in between? And just see about softening your lower jaw and allowing your tongue to rest in it like it's lying in a little hammock. And notice also your hands and arms and whatever is supporting them, your lap or the pew next to you. And feel into all of this support, the floor under your feet, the pew under your legs, your rear end, behind your back, the support of your lap for your arms and your lower jaw for your tongue. And yield to this support. Allow yourself to rest into it. And notice what it's like to do that. Noticing and feeling into the support under and behind you. Yielding, being held. Thank you. I'm turning it over to Alexa now.
I'm also a mental health therapist and grateful that Reverend Thom asked Deborah and myself to offer some strategies and practices to take care of ourselves this election week. As Deborah has guided us this morning, grounding ourselves and regulating our nervous system is critical to cultivate stability and a sense of peace in the midst of this week. As a narrative therapist, I offer this guidance. The narrative we tell ourselves matters. To quiet anxious thoughts and feel a sense of peace in our bodies, we must first breathe, and then we must envision a positive future and set actionable steps to achieve our goals. And the beauty of being part of the Community Church of Chapel Hill Unitarian Universalist is we already do this. We envision a positive future by embracing principles that affirm justice, equity, compassion, and respect for the interconnectedness of all life. We set actionable steps towards this future by advocating for systemic change, promoting inclusivity, and fostering community-led initiatives to address pressing social and environmental concerns, no matter who is in office. It makes sense, though, that facing election uncertainty, we may become overwhelmed with distress, fear, anxiety, because we know what's on the line. However, we must reauthor our narrative to claim a sense of agency and choice. It's not toxic positivity to claim a positive future. This is what we control as individuals and as a community. But how do we do this, we might ask? So if you're so willing, please practice with me. Take the basket at the end of your pew, and those of you on the end, choose a colorful ball that speaks to you, that just appeals to you in some way, and pass it on. And I'll wait for you all to get one. Hold this soft, colorful ball in your hand, or your hands, or your hands, whatever works for you. Let's do that breath. Close your eyes and breathe. Think of one aspect of the world you wish to improve or see change. Say that goal to yourself, whatever it is. Justice, inclusivity, freedom, peace, healing, you fill in the blank. The ball in your hands represents this goal. Be with it. You are holding this goal with great care in your hands. Notice the weight of it, how important it is to you, the care with which you hold it. Silently tell yourself, no matter what, I will work towards this goal. Just be with that for a moment. Next, brainstorm one realistic step you will take to contribute to this goal daily, weekly. Demonstrating kindness, perhaps, voting, community service, writing to representatives, knocking on doors, extending self-compassion. Then, holding this goal carefully in your hands, silently tell yourself, I will take this step. And come back when you're ready. No matter the outcome of the election, envision your most sacred goals for change achieved. Take real, actionable steps toward them. I'm preaching to the choir here. Come back to revisit your action plans monthly, weekly, even daily to check on your goals and notice your narrative. Again, envisioning a positive future is not toxic positivity. It's necessary work. Let's reflect and remind each other while political climates shift, individual, family, and community-led initiatives can and do positively contribute to the change we wish to see, reducing the helplessness that often fuels anxiety. Let's carry forward with compassion for ourselves and each other, deeply aware that we can meet whatever comes our way. And I'm back. Now it's time for offertory. Freely have we received gifts that minister to our needs of body and spirit. Gladly we bring to our church and its wide concerns a portion of this bounty. If you wish to donate online, please point your camera to the QR code on the back of the order of service and tap the banner that appears, or there is information on our church's website. We will now receive the morning offering.
Thank you to our choir, and thank you especially to Deborah and Alexa for leading us in some exercises. Show of hands, if you're willing. How many of us here this morning have had some anxiety this fall? Keep those hands up for a second and just look around. You're in good company. As I planned our worship service and programming for the fall, the two biggest questions that I struggled with were, first, what the heck would I do in worship on the Sunday before the election? And second, what the heck would I do in worship on the Sunday after the election? And as I thought in advance about next Sunday, I concluded there is just no way to plan what I will need to say in advance. So even as I had no idea what I'm going to say next week, I began to get clear about what I wanted to do this week, the Sunday before the election. I figured that many of us, myself included, would be coming to church this morning feeling a sense of anxiety, worry, fear. I know that many of us, myself included, have been feeling on edge, have had some frayed nerves this season. And maybe there are some of us who come this morning who are feeling cautiously optimistic. Maybe there are some of us coming here this morning feeling nauseously optimistic. It's a term that I heard recently, and I think I've had a little bit of that feeling too. So what I decided I ought to do this morning is kind of design a service on how we might live amidst and with these feelings of anxiety and worry. For the service, I decided to consult with a number of psychologists, therapists, mental health professionals, both within the congregation and beyond it. And I invited two of them, Deborah and Alexa, to take a part of the service. I also read several articles about how to manage election anxiety. Among the mental health professionals I consulted, anxiety, they said to me, was neither all good nor all bad. One therapist I spoke with reflected that anxiety was actually a key to our evolution as human beings and to the survival of our species. Tens of millennia ago, our ancient ancestors had to remain vigilant, anxious, watching out for lions, tigers, and bears, oh my. And that tendency to worry, to be anxious, continues on. Now we worry, did I remember to turn off the oven? And we worry about other things too. And of course, our biological tendency towards anxiety can too easily be exploited by demagogues and would-be authoritarians. And our media, both social media and traditional media, know that anxiety brings clicks and eyeballs and dollars, and have an interest in provoking and deepening our anxiety. One column I read on the topic of election anxiety had this to say about the paradox of worrying. Worry, the columnist wrote, is good for us and is also a kind of poison. So we must somehow try to find just the right dosage of worry. Worry is not all bad. It can motivate us to take action, to canvass or donate money or vote. And people who worry tend to be less shattered by bad news. They tend to be able to brace themselves for a worst-case scenario. But worry at the same time, our columnist continues, is also a kind of toxin. Repetitive thoughts about bad outcomes can disrupt sleep, weaken immune responses, and lead to depression and illness. Worry can make us think subconsciously that we are helping just by obsessively worrying. But all the while, this worry is slowly draining our spirit and sapping our strength. The columnist concludes, you can visit worry, but you don't want to live there. As we approach this fall, I was aware that if we as a community didn't have somewhere constructive to put our anxiety would go in all sorts of unhelpful directions. Earlier this fall, in fact, right after we sent out an all-church email about our UU the Vote activities as a congregation, I received an email from a former member of our church who's still on our church email list. The former member has since joined a UU congregation in their new home city, and they wrote with pride and gratitude of how impressive all of our plans were, but they also wrote with deep disappointment. Sadly, there's nothing like that going on here. If we don't have a good outlet for our anxiety, a healthy and productive place to direct our fear and our worry, then we will either let it fester within us or we'll direct it in unhealthy and destructive directions. Taking action is a great outlet for our anxiety. Many in our church community are continuing to take action right up to the polls close on Tuesday evening. They're canvassing, calling, texting, serving as poll observers, or serving on the rapid response team to de-escalate in situations of voter intimidation. Some in our congregation with legal backgrounds are volunteering to provide legal support to those who encounter problems trying to vote. This is a very healthy way to use the anxiety and the worry and channel it towards a constructive direction. But besides action, what are the other techniques that we can turn to help us to manage anxiety and worry? Some of them were shared with us earlier in the service by Deborah and Alexa. Paying attention to our breath, focusing our breathing, embodied awareness, finding a narrative that empowers us in our living. There are other things that we can do. Another thing that we can do is embodied movement. Exercise helps our body to better regulate the chemicals in our brain that cause us to worry. Or we can get away from our screens for a time and go out into nature. Fresh air, sunshine, moonlight, connecting with the rhythms of nature is a proven way to help lay down a bit of our anxiety. This morning, our choir sang that famous poem by Wendell Berry about exactly this thing. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night worried about what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lay down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time I rest in the grace of the world and am free. Practices for anxious times. Action, distraction, breath, movement, narrative. And a final practice that I highly, highly recommend is connection, community. We are, the mammals that we are, deeply social creatures. Not all mammals are social, but we are social mammals. And being together with other people is important. I'm aware that community can be a two-way street. If everyone in a community is anxious, that anxiety can be contagious. If everyone is angry, that anger can be contagious. If everyone is afraid, that fear can be contagious. But courage is also contagious, and so is kindness, and so is being grounded. The key is to find connection with others in kind and courageous and grounded ways, and to lean into those connections. There's a practice, a group practice, that I've used in stressful times. And I call that practice attunement, although there probably is another word for it. Like atonement, but with a U, attunement. Like actually learning to tune ourselves to other people in community. I'll tell you an example about this. At the last congregation I served, we once had a board meeting coming up that was going to be contentious. We had to make some difficult budget decisions, and before the board meeting, tempers were flaring up. People were sending angry and combative emails. There was a lot of fear, a lot of blame, a lot of upset. At that church, the tradition was that the minister, me, did the opening words at every board meeting. And I spent the day of that board meeting trying to find the right reading. And if I'm being completely honest, the right reading that would tell all the people who I thought were wrong that they were wrong. And then right before the board meeting, I had a realization. People were stuck in their feelings, stuck in this conflict, and would have a hard time listening to my reading, and would have a hard time listening to each other. So when the meeting started, I took a gamble and said that in lieu of the reading, we're going to play a game. I had everyone on the board stand up, and then we went around the circle. One person would do a movement, and everyone else would have to give attention and mimic that movement, and then on to the next person. Hey, we were all doing that. And as we went around the circle, it got sillier and fun, and people who had yelled at each other over email that week actually were laughing with one another. What happened was that people put down their defenses, they connected with their playful and silly sides, and they attuned themselves to one another. Most importantly, we practiced paying attention to each other, and this really cool dynamic happened where people were able to listen and able to speak and able to find constructive solutions. We lost a little bit of that fear, anxiety, and anger, and worked together on supporting each other and supporting the beliefs that and the causes that we believed so deeply in. I hope that as we gather in groups, we find that space to attune one another to our deepest longings, our fears, but also our hopes and our commitments. I read in one of the articles that we have, as human beings, another longing that we have is a longing for certainty, but that life is inherently uncertain. We long for certainty, we crave certainty, but life is inherently uncertain. This columnist speculated that a lot of our tendency to kind of hit refresh constantly on social media and on the web is this craving to find certainty, to find a sense of certainty where we know what cannot be known. We live in a time of really anxious uncertainty. But with these practices, with practices of breathing, practices of caring about our commitments, practices of attuning in community, practices of putting down screens and meeting each other face to face, of being in nature, and of moving our bodies, we can respond to these anxious times in constructive ways. Another practice for engaging anxiety is to sing, and to sing together. So I invite us to turn to number 1009 in our hymnal and to join in singing Meditation on Breathing.
I breathe in peace when I breathe out. I breathe out love when I breathe in. I breathe in peace when I
I want to take a moment to remind us of our shared covenant around our joys and sorrows time. It's what's printed in the order of service, where it said, if you have a personal joy or sorrow to share, you're invited to come forward, tell us your name, place a stone in the bowl, and briefly share your joy or sorrow. No announcements, please. Let us enter into this time of tenderness and trust as we open our hearts to the joys and the sorrows of this community. Are there any joys and sorrows this morning?
I'm Mary Beth Pal,
I'm Bill Road.
and I just have a tremendous joy. I fell a few weeks ago and broke 8 ribs, and this church has just shown me so much love and concern for me. The cards, the letters, the phone calls, the emails,
The quilt.
the quilt, the caring quilt, the flowers, just the love that you all have shared with me has just been wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much.
And don't give her a hug yet.
Hi, my name is Kathy Hodges, and 6 weeks ago I stood up here and told about how my mother had spent about a week in the hospital and how she was going into a rehab and how she was not going to be able to move home, and how during that time her children were going to be working busy as bees to try to make sure she had a safe place to go to. Well, 6 weeks later, her blood infection is under control and she's doing well. She got released from rehab yesterday. We cleaned out her house, put it on the market, found her a place to live that she worked with us on this night. We didn't do this for her, we did this with her. And yesterday she moved into her new independent living center, and earlier this week she signed a contract to sell her house. So we are on the way, and we are so proud of her.
Hi, I'm Marnie Goldschlag, and I wanted to let you know that I entered 3 pieces of my art in the Durham Art Guild juried show, thinking, oh, well, maybe one of them would get in. Well, all 3 of them got in, and the show will open on November 26th and run through January 26th. So.
Hi, I'm Diana Steele. The first time I've ever done this, you can tell by my voice. My younger son, Kevin, has been living in upstate New York. He's 60 or now, something very, very old. 30 years behind me, but aside from that. And he's been struggling with some internal sickness for the past year. And it led to his having to have all but 5 of his teeth pulled out, and which was humiliating for anybody, and couldn't eat. And since then, he's had a lot of internal things go wrong. And the more he's in one town in upstate New York, going across periodically to another town to get care. And it's not getting better, and I don't like that at all.
I'm Rachel Rose, and I shared earlier that I have a sorrow. My husband and I traveled to New Jersey and to take care of my father-in-law, Robert Emmett Farringer III, Vietnam veteran, recipient of the Purple Heart. And he died. And my husband, who is his only child, we have a lot of work to do and no time to properly grieve. At the same time, I hold joy in my heart. Last Sunday, our son was part of an effort to raise over $100,000 for affordable housing in our area. And part of that effort was a 5K. 2 years ago, my husband was in a terrible car wreck that shattered his pelvis, among other things, and while he will never be the same, he ran in that 5K, and he won. Yeah. For his age group, but still.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Johnston, and I have a joy and a sorrow. My joy is that my father and stepmother are moving here from Tucson and buying a house here this week. But my sorrow is that my father was traveling around there. They were both traveling around the area and fell and broke his hip, and has managed to make it back to Durham to a rehab center, a very good place. But I'm worried about him. He's about 80. So if you all could just keep him in your thoughts and prayers, because I know that you all have very powerful thoughts and prayers. Thank you.
A final stone is placed for all the joys and sorrows that we hold in our hearts that were not spoken today. Let us take a moment to hold these joys and sorrows, to give thanks for healing, to grieve losses, to hold with compassion our worry for our health and our family's health. Let us celebrate our journeys, our victories, and give thanks for the love which holds us in this community. Knowing that we live in fraught and anxious times, we remember to breathe, to hope, to express our commitments, to give gratitude for nature and for each other, and to join our own unique and private pain and sorrow and longing and hope and love in the embrace of caring community, in the embrace of justice-seeking community, aware that there is more love, more hope, more peace, and more joy somewhere. Let us commit to find it, to nurture it, and to grow it. I invite you to join with me in our closing hymn of the morning, There Is More Love Somewhere, 95 in your gray hymnal.
There is more love somewhere.
Please remain standing in body or spirit. The words for extinguishing our chalice are in your order of service. Please join me if you wish to do so. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please join me in thanking all who contributed to making this service so worshipful this morning. And now join in singing Shalom. The words are in your order of service. And as you are comfortable, please join hands with those next to you or cross them over your heart.
Bye.